All right. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our first talkback of the Fringe. I'm so excited to be here. My name is Kate Coley, and I am the talkback producer for this year's Cincy Fringe. So I will be your tour guide through all of these conversations with the fabulous artists that are bringing us this amazing content, all available digitally on cincyfringe.com. And today we are starting out with the fabulous team that brought us Love and Other Lures. So if you could go ahead and unmute and introduce yourself, we'll get started.
All right. Well, hi, I'm Toby Mulford. I am half of the Love and Other Lures team. I played Dr. Dewar. And my wife, Rachel, is just upstairs and will be joining us momentarily. She plays Peach. And the reason we're a little scattered is the third member of our party. See in the distance there, that's Willona. She's very much awake right now, so we'll be sort of playing this one by ear.
Fabulous. So we see one of your fabulous collaborations in Your
Yep.
Child, but let's talk a little bit about your artistic partnership. Dr. Dewar and Peach are a long-established duo. You've done a lot of shows. You have a digital series. So
Yep.
how did this artistic partnership get started, and how do you think it's evolved over time?
Well, Rachel can chime in whenever she gets a moment, but the project began with me writing songs. And then eventually I got interested in, I had enough songs that was like, okay, this is an act rather than just a few notional songs. And I was really interested in the time at groups that were out there that were developing characters to support the songs that they were performing. I was getting into heavy metal at the time, so I was paying attention to people like Gwar and Slipknot and these and Alice Cooper.
Yeah.
These people who were not just performing music but were creating characters. So I started developing the character who would perform the songs.
Fabulous.
And Rachel and I had been dating for several years at that point and wanted to perform together. And so we were doing a few sort of short form clown experimentations with a local group called DC Clown Cabaret, which is a wonderful organization. And so that sort of got us working together as playing partners. And then that turned into these two characters performing together, and it has just sort of grown from there. As we've gone on, I have still been the primary like writer and song creator, but what we've discovered is that Rachel is the person who actually makes it happen. So he's very much become sort of the producer and director of the project.
Cool. Yeah, that's great. So it's super interesting how you talk about being informed by heavy metal, which we wouldn't necessarily associate with the songwriting that you do, but this idea of creating a whole persona as a vehicle for these songs is fascinating. Rachel, did you want to say anything about what Toby was just saying about the partnership, or?
I think that was a really good summary.
Great.
Yeah, because like in all good theater, you should start with good text, and
perfect.
It's good text. The songs are fun enough to like work on for years. And we've been performing some of these songs. Well, we've continued performing all of the repertoire, I guess is the thing. It's like none of it's left the repertoire.
Yeah,
and it
continues. We don't have enough for it to leave the repertoire.
Yeah, so it continues to be fun. And I think Toby's own inspirations must be good enough fodder that he can continue to write stuff that he finds inspiring, and monsters are fun. So that's like, it's nice that what we've got is good text to start with, and then from there we can just try to have fun in between the songs.
Absolutely, yeah. Monsters are fun, and this show has monsters, it has music, it has jokes, it has things that are funny because they're serious. There's masks in it, there's puppets. There is so much packed into this nice little show. And I would love to know just some of where your inspirations come from, how your love of monster stories started, anything like that.
Well,
So do you want to talk
I
about
can talk.
the mask puppet physical theater?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's where our training is, that's where it's based, and we have a lot of that in common, which makes for common language in collaborating, which is really important. It helps you quickly establish what your goals are. And so I have probably a predominantly a strong improv background, but that turned into more and more of a mask theater and physical theater background after college, and then especially working with Toby and gleaning from his background, which he has a MFA in physical theater from the Del Arte School in California. Yeah, I know, fancy, fancy. Literally an MFA in being a clown. And okay, oh, well, you would take exception to that, of course, which would be very Delartian of you.
It's not just a clown school.
Yeah. We also worked for years together in a theater company here in DC called Faction of Fools Theater Company. And they specialize in the Italian theater style, commedia dell'arte. And that gave us many years of learning each other's rhythms even more. Because at first when we were dating and all of that, we didn't make all that much theater, just the two of us. But that's evolved, and duo work is rather challenging, writing for just two people. And like I said, keeping it relevant and making it still fun after doing it for 5 years. Well, I don't know where you were. I thought I'd take your chair.
Okay.
I didn't know you were coming back.
Just turning off.
But yeah, so we've done a lot of commedia dell'arte together. We're not really primarily puppeteers, nor puppet makers, nor mask makers. But masked theater is in both of our repertoires, definitely in a big way.
Right.
I studied at the Gardzinica school. I say studied at, which is
in Poland.
In Poland, yeah. I'm sorry, that's in Poland, and I just was questioning my.
It was awesome.
I went there. I went there, but it doesn't matter for how long.
No,
you know how it is. You go to class and you're like, I studied in Poland.
Yeah, you absolutely studied in Poland. Yes, absolutely.
So, but as far as influences because you bring up the diverse amount of different kinds of things that we've got involved in the show. That I think really is because it's in a world that is fantastical, and it is the monsters that allow that to happen, which is very joyful that we're able to bring in a lot of our different tools, to bring in puppets and mask and physical comedy into the same place, because there aren't limits, there aren't rules in a fantastical world with mythical creatures and things like that. Yeah.
Great. Yeah. So you've talked a bit about your theater background, the physical theater background, but so much of this show is music. So where is the musical background for you two? And
well, so it's all over the place. And
the table moves when you touch it, so let's not touch the table.
Okay. It's almost like each song has kind of its own style. I grew up listening to a lot of Stephen Sondheim, and sort of branched out from there. So yeah, I think I get bored if a song sounds too much like another song. So there is some more than others. There's some songs where specifically I will go, here's a monster, here's the style that kind of matches it, put them together. So you get like the Greek siren torch song seemed like a very natural fit. So yeah, oftentimes a song will start with me hearing something on the radio in the supermarket that I don't particularly like, but going, I could write something that sounds like that. What's the story that would tell?
That's great. Yeah. So finding those natural links between the monsters and the music, that's really great. Yeah. What about you, Rachel?
Well, Toby's always said that, sorry, I'm going to talk about him, but that for you, the reason horror movies are of interest is because they actually tap into metaphors that are very powerful. because horror movies are about extremes, you can go to great extremes to explore those metaphors, but they're always about humanity. Monsters are about humans, and horror is about being human, and that's at the core of the way Toby writes, and that's what I think what our strongest songs do best are the ones that actually can tap into that metaphor and speak to multiple people on different levels, because it is a metaphor. So it's whatever you think it is, even if it's also about trolls. and so that's one of the things that Toby's definitely interested in exploring, and what keeps him writing is going, okay, where is the seed of emotional truth and human truth in the core of this monster I'm interested in? Why is that speaking to me? What's back there? And then I think sometimes it starts with a lyric for you. Sometimes it starts with that metaphor, and sometimes it starts with a tune. But usually it doesn't. It sounds like it doesn't usually start with a tune.
The ones that start as tunes don't get finished. Because they're harder.
So when he starts his words, then he can add music, I guess. And he loves exploring genre. And something he kind of just mentioned, the exploring the different horror genres is a lot of fun. And there are a lot of genres of horror. And so he likes to take genre mashup. And that's kind of sort of implying too, with like monster and music mashup. But it's like, what could be fun about a slasher film? Is there something funny that can be there? And that's not one of the songs that was in this set, but he does have a slasher movie song that's funny, and it's and it's fun to see how you can get really associative in your own brain with this process, to go, okay, what's fun about this very visual art form, film, film, slasher film, and then tapping into what's the emotional stuff behind that, and then musically. So I think that's rather a magical thing, and I have no capability in that. Like, I'm not the creator. Toby's the writer and creator, because that's just what he's very good at. But as he mentioned earlier, I feel very, very happy and surprised, sort of, that recently I found that I'm actually the more of the doer. And that's been very interesting, very life affirming.
It's always interesting to find like where you sort of settle in, because of course everyone has sort of like relationship roles, and that's its own thing, but then artistic roles can be a whole other thing. That's really exciting how you've both sort of found your pieces of this that are absolutely equally important. So like you said, you're the doer, which I am assuming comes with a lot of booking, planning, et cetera, because you guys have a lot of different modes that you've worked in. So I'm curious about sort of the differences you feel, especially because a lot of these fringe artists are going digital for the first time, if they're primarily live performers. What you all find to be the differences, pros and cons of working in digital formats versus in, let's call it, analog live formats.
Yeah. Well, that's a long. I mean, we could go multiple directions.
Of course.
Well, look, I wrote notes.
The problem with me is I could talk for hours.
Right. Well, I wrote notes.
Okay, the web series. All right, that actually is what I was going to talk about.
Yeah, please do.
Had we not made a web series last year, we would not have had nearly so many skills and ideas and collaborators available to us for this project, because we spent all of 2019 working on the web series, and that was an enormous learning process. We went from not having ever made anything on video other than short, cute promos,
right?
To is that true? I guess we've never really made anything on video, and to making a 6-part web series that we wanted to, look pretty professional and beautiful and well written. And we had such incredible collaborators on that actually was possible. If it had just been 2 people, it wouldn't have happened. But because we learned from them and from that, we were able to then go, okay, how do we make our live show, the Love and Other Lures show, which already existed and had its banter and had its shtick and the songs, the whole set list, everything. And how do we take that and then shift it,
right,
to work on film? The biggest
thing, sort of the biggest difference, I think, unless you're lucky enough to already have like a full video of your live performance.
Right.
Film just isn't spontaneous in the same way. And so you spend an enormous amount of time and effort and very careful planning to try to get back to the illusion of spontaneity. It's sort of like growing a bonsai tree. You know, you do an enormous amount of craft and artifice to make it look like it grew naturally.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that is a wonderful way of looking at it.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
I'm very visual myself, and it's been nice to get to explore that with this. And that's another reason I think I took over as the director of this project, because I cared a lot more than he did about what was in the background and what the camera angle was, and I futzing with the cameras and planning it and thinking in that way of like, how is each song going to look a little different, even just a slight difference, because working on the web series is what taught me that matters. I wouldn't have really known before, because I thought we were funny, so we could be funny. Sorry if the camera doesn't move, but I learned in the web series the camera has to move.
Right. Well, and I think especially in Love and Other Lures, there's so much information in the background of everything. You know, we have like the little behind the scenes bit with the soundboard in the beginning. We have the man in the wall who tells us all about Dr. Dewar and Peach and technical issues. You know, we have an alligator on the mantle. There's all of these great, see, I picked up on it. There's all these little clues and these little nuggets that I think really add to the music and to the storytelling itself. So the visual is totally supported. You know, these songs would definitely be just as entertaining live on a stage, but with this format, I think you get so much more specific with the world that these characters live in, with the fantasy of it, the weird little quirks of it. It's very exciting.
And to that point, we did a lot of thinking about creating the visual space because you get bored more easily when you're sitting looking at a screen.
Definitely.
So like I think like, yeah, the songs, and especially they're long songs, a lot of them. So we did a lot of thinking about like, how do we keep this interesting when you always have the option of pausing it and going and getting some ice cream. So,
right. And when you can't,
you don't do in live theater.
Right. And you can't form a relationship with the performer, which is based on, even if nothing else, like even if the audience and performer never make eye contact, it's based on the fact that you're in the same space at the same time.
Right.
So without that, what is there? And we didn't try to get too deeply in that. We just really wanted to, we asked ourselves, how do you keep up the pace? How do you keep up the urgency and the weirdness and the not freneticism exactly, but like certainly when we perform together, we like to make things a little bit too much. We prefer a little bit too much, like a little too complicated of language, so that people want to listen to it again later.
Lean in a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. And a little bit too stupid of the jokes. A little bit too, like just past too much, so that you keep people surprised and everything. And I don't know, that's pacing. Pacing is a challenge in theater as well, but it's just a different science on film. So that's been a really interesting experiment in learning about pacing. Yeah. Again, we learned a lot from our cinematographer during the web series, Sharon Christinger, who taught me everything I know about film.
That's awesome. Yeah.
And I had to learn it by osmosis, because I didn't know this was going to happen this time. And I was borrowing her equipment and going, I'm going to just do what I saw Sharon do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Figure it out. And we had an incredible editor in Kevin Boyce, who took the time and had the time to devote to this project with us, so that when we said we're going to do this many angles, this many takes, this many songs, do you think you can handle it? He was so game, and he made it really smart. He made it look smart.
Absolutely, it's totally smart
in a smart way. It would have been much more of that freneticism if we tried to edit it. Yeah. So, and that's another thing with you need different collaborators. You need
Mm-hmm.
you need collaborators with this other set of skills.
Right.
And both of the people I mentioned get it too. You know, like they get the physical comedy. They get the goals that we have. We've worked with Kevin for years and years. Sharon has worked with clowns for years and years. Like they know what our goals are, so we could get to the heart of the thing, get to the root of the mission very quickly. Same with Matthew Pauly, who's in the show. He's a clown. He's a physical theater artist. We've also worked with him since at least 2013, if not before.
Yeah.
And known, you know, and so he sees where we're going with it. So when we said, "Can you write your part?" we don't have time to write it. Here's what we want.
Can you create a character who would say maybe these things and would appear twice? And like 2 days later, he has a set and a costume and a shtick and
a character and an identity.
It's hilarious.
I want this, and we're like, great.
Yeah.
You need to do more.
We took the crap that we sent him as the actual dialogue and made it good. We didn't have time to finesse that, and we could trust this person because we knew we know him, and we trust that he understands what we want, and you just can't trade that. That's
of course
gold.
Yeah. Well, that's wonderful. With our last couple minutes, because we're wrapping up in a few minutes, I want to ask, so you have a chance to plug all the people you want to plug all the work you want to plug. How can we support you moving forward, especially right now without access to live performance? Where can we find your work? How can we keep helping pay your bills? All that kind of stuff.
3 ways.
I'm like, ooh. You say it.
The easiest and probably most fun way to find us, if you haven't seen it before, is our web series. It is all live it is on YouTube. It's totally free. It's Dr. Doer and Peach, the web series. Or if you go to our website, you can find a link there as well. And that's
the main way, because
some popcorn between
we worked on it very hard and had a lot of wonderful people working on it very hard in order to have it forever out there for people to watch and for it to be a reference point of, if you don't know about Dr. Doer and Peach, this is a great way to see a little bit of what we do, and it's very easy to share. And I don't know if that's going to be one of the things you said, but I would say, please, if you like the web series, please share it. We're enormously proud of it. People can watch it forever. We also want you to share Cincinnati Fringe Festival and our show and all the shows with everyone, but it's 2 weeks. So if that window closes, like, the best way you can help us is please, please, please share the web series. We would love for it to have 5,000 hits and 1,000 subscribers, and
all right, let's make it happen, Fringe audience. We want 5,000 hits and 1,000 followers. Let's do it.
Baby.
So the other ways that you can find us, if you want to just get on our list, you can do that through our website. You can sign our mailing list. We do send things. We don't send things very frequently. Yeah. And you can do that through the contact page on our website. And if you want to give us money and get things, we do have an album, and it is for sale. Our platform that sells albums stopped selling albums a few months ago. So we have a brand squeaky new Bandcamp page, which you can use. You can get the album either digitally or order a CD. If you're, old-fashioned. And we also sell T-shirts.
I'm wearing a T-shirt.
Yay! Modeling the T-shirt. And in not too long a time, we will have additional merchandise up there. And so those are the best ways to sort of get in touch with us. Or just send us an email if you like what we do.
Great. Well, thank you both. Thank all 3 of you so much for joining us on our first Talkback. Everyone make sure that you tune in for Petunia and Chicken at 5 and then the Talkback at 6. Thank you so much again, Rachel and Toby. I really appreciate it. And hopefully we'll talk more soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.